this mandatory punishment, it's important to understand, except for full-fledged murder under Section 302 IPC and the actual act of waging war against the state, very few other offences are punishable with a statutory minimum term. So you brought it in rape, and this alone lends itself to very easy abuse, with police actually very often playing a very active role in encouraging women to file false cases or being part of such gangs that do so, also that they can split the booty. But before I come to that, let me remind people who may have forgotten about the infamous Preeti Jain versus Madhu Bhandarkar rape case. In 2004, an aspiring starlet called Preeti Jain filed rape case against very well-known film director named Madhu Bhandarkar, alleging that he raped her 16 times between 1999 and 2004. All under pretense of giving her role in a film, or she said he also promised marriage. Now, there's no way you can prove whether he actually promised or he didn't, but she's admitting to having had sex with him because she was interested in getting a role as a heroine in his film. Now, nobody can rape you 16 times in the duration of 5 years unless there's some consent, because there's no case that he barged into her house or he drugged her and he captured her and he took her to XYZ place. They met at mutually agreed upon places wherever, even by her own account. Madhu Bhandarkar, of course, denies it. I don't take sides in this case. I'm just narrating the bare details. In 2005, Preeti Jain gave supari of 75,000 to a member of Gabli gang to murder Bhandarkar, because even after she leveled rape charges, he didn't buckle under the pressure. He did not give her a role in any film, but he fought back. Whether he was right or not is not my job to judge. In 2011, Maharashtra police filed a report that rape case was false. But later in 2011, Mumbai court asked Bhandarkar to face trial, and this verdict was confirmed by the High Court. So the case goes all the way up to High Court. But when it comes to the Supreme Court in 2012, the criminal proceedings against Bhandarkar were quashed because Preeti did not follow up, did not pursue the case, she didn't appear, and so the Supreme Court quashed the case. And in 2017, interestingly, Preeti was sentenced to 3 years in jail for supari to get Bhandarkar murder. Now, this is fairly murky, but the point that I would like to make is this, that such like cases where women alleging that somebody promised them XYZ and that's why they had sex, then later on filing rape charge, even without declaring Madhu Bhandarkar innocent, even though Supreme Court has quashed criminal proceedings against. I'm not taking any sides, but the point that I'm trying to make is this. Even if we take Preeti Jain's charges seriously, Bhandarkar can at best be accused of breach of promise, not rape, because the sexual act was in the nature of a sexual bribe that she willingly paid. He could not have for 5 years continued with this unless she was willing. Now, such like cases are coming in droves, and I think that is really what has shook even the apex court, and various high courts have been commenting on how these countless cases that are happening, the false cases that are being lodged, and that too mostly with police complicity in filing false cases, very often using professional gangs of blackmailers. Like there was this case in Navi Mumbai where the High Court ruled that cops were part of this false rape gang racket, and highly placed IT professional was booked in this case. He even went to jail by a woman who had filed 3 more such cases for extortion and blackmail. Now, what is the modus operandi being used for filing such cases? One, of course, you're employed under someone, you want a certain promotion, you don't get it. In many cases, it's true that women have to offer sex bribes in order to get promotion, in order to get a certain job. There is casting couch, not only in the film industry, but even in politics. So I'm not at all undermining the importance of, or the seriousness or the heinousness of cases where women are subjected to sexual humiliation and treated as playthings. But the reverse is happening as often, if not more often. One, it's become very common for women to use dating sites to lure men and then file rape charges. I know of this case personally where they, after fixing a date, they met in a Khan Market coffee house, had coffee, and then this gentleman offered to drive her back home. There was no sex, nothing. And she says, okay, drive me to X location. He gallantly does that. She stops near a police station, says, will you wait a few minutes? I'll just come out. While he's waiting in the car, the police come and say, sorry sir, there's a case of sexual assault on you. And they extort money right there in front of the Thana. And I know of this case personally. Then Facebook friends. People become Facebook friends, make all kinds of pretenses, start dating, start getting intimate, and then use that intimacy, which turns often into physical intimacy of 1 or 2 incidents, and then you blackmail and extort. Escort services. People who provide escort services. The reason I'm saying this is, now escort services is not a very noble profession, but women who enter that, women who become willing partners in that racket of going with men to Dubai or here or there, know what they are entering into, know what's at stake, what's expected of them, that they're not being taken X place just as decorative, that they're not being taken only as decorative dolls for display, but they're expected to provide sexual services. But all such women have now formed gangs. Many such women have become part of well-organized rackets who are filing cases for the simple purpose of, for the clear-cut purpose of extorting money and blackmailing the man for as long as he is willing to fall prey. In fact, recently there was this case of murder by a young college dropout named Priya, Seth, comes from a very respectable family of Jaipur, daughter of a college professor. And she had made a profession of luring rich men through dating sites and extorting money and also ATM loot, all by threatening rape case. In one case, she dated a man who pretended to be a millionaire, a very rich man, but when he came, he turned out to be a very ordinary middle-class man. And because she realized she cannot get the sum she's demanding of him, she and her accomplices chopped his body into pieces and murdered him. And this is as recent as May 7, 2018. Another very common misuse of rape law is by women in live-in relationships, which turns sour. There have been n number of cases of women actually successfully registering cases by saying, he's been raping me for 3 years, he's been raping me for 8 years, I was living with him because he promised me marriage, and now he's not willing to marry me, so he's been raping me for X number of years. And believe you me, so many men have gone to jail and then either succumbed, given whatever booty was demanded of them, or have rotted in jail and got acquitted after spending long years in prison. A very interesting case is one where High Court acquitted a man on June 19, 2016. This man had been in jail since 2011 and he was sent to prison for 10 years. He fought his case, and it's only in 5 years later in 2016 that he is acquitted, with the High Court saying that a long-term relationship, live-in relationship, cannot be turned into a case of rape, especially if there is good evidence that the live-in relationship itself was voluntary, there was no coercion of any kind, and it was of long duration. And if you are a well-educated woman of means and you choose a live-in relationship,